What if you knew 4 key words that you should never ever say to the narcissist? That by saying these words, you are literally handing your power into their hands to continue to give them ammunition and information to continue to abuse, manipulate, and control you. This is exactly what I'm going to share with you in my latest episode on my YouTube channel. Hi everybody, I'm Caroline Strawson and I'm a somatic trauma therapist and coach specializing in helping you move from post-traumatic stress to post-traumatic growth after narcissistic abuse, because I have been exactly where you are now and I want you to know that you are not alone. I am right in the trenches with you. So if you're a new watcher and you haven't subscribed yet, please do hit that subscribe button and that bell, because I drop episodes every single week to help educate and inspire you to know that there is a light. Let me tell you, there is. It may not feel like it, but I promise you that there is a light at the end of that tunnel. So what are these 4 magical words then for you to stop saying to the narcissist that is going to enable you to start to take some power back? Okay, come in a bit closer because I'm going to tell you what they are. They are, you make me feel. How many times have many of us said that? I mean, my hand is going up right now. You know, I thought if you were in a toxic relationship or in an argument with somebody or having conflict with them, telling them you make me feel is kind of you telling them, hey, when you behave like this, you're making me feel like that. And I used to think that that should be a good thing, because if they're behaving like this and then I'm feeling like that, well, I wouldn't be feeling like this if you weren't like that. And this is exactly the same with a narcissist. How many of you in those little moments in that relationship with the narcissist have actually said, you know, when you do that, you make me feel like this, or when you say that to me, that makes me feel, and you make me feel sad, or you make me feel hurt, or you make me feel angry, or you make me feel like I can't go out. You make me feel like I can't go and buy XYZ. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel. Because surely if you're telling them, you make me feel like this, they'll change their behavior. That does not work like that. And actually, by you saying you make me feel, you're handing your power away. Nobody can make you feel anything. You feel the way you do because of your past experiences, and their behavior is triggering in you a sense of danger. You know, how we actually feel in our body comes from our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, where we will shift into either a fight, flight, or freeze response in our body. And even when we talk about narcissistic abuse, fawn, where we appease the abuser. Now, ideally, what we want to be in our nervous system is feeling calm, feeling like we have a lot of confidence and courage, even if there is challenges in our life. But very often, especially when we're talking about trauma and narcissistic abuse, we don't feel like that in our body. You know, the narcissist behaves in a certain way and we feel that activation in our body, and we either then project that out maybe with anger, maybe we have anxiety. Those from a human perspective are very much in the fight-flight responses in our body, where we are producing a lot more cortisol in anticipation of literally fighting or running away, which is what the fight-flight responses are. And if we still perceive threat and danger, we will then shift into a freeze response as well, where we kind of go into shutdown. We might get really, really quiet. We don't want to go out. We don't want to see anybody. We start to isolate ourselves. So by saying to the narcissist with their behavior, hey, you make me feel, you're basically saying to the narcissist, if I'm in fight, flight, or freeze, it's because of you. You have made me then go into fight, flight, and freeze. Now, that isn't strictly true. What the narcissist is actually doing is triggering wounds that have been created in you that have come from your childhood. And the reason why I know this, because I know some of you might be thinking, hold on a second, Caroline, no. Because if I'm not around the narcissist, you know, I feel better. I don't feel what I do in my body, okay? But bear with me, you know, just stay with me on this, because I get it. I really understand. By saying those 4 words, that might feel like to you, you're saying, you make me feel, and if you didn't behave in the way that you were, I wouldn't feel like that. Strictly that is true. However, take me for example. I have been exactly where you are now, feeling activated, feeling anxious, or even feeling in freeze, dissociated, numb, isolating myself, even self-harm. Even, I used to drink a lot of alcohol, for instance, to try and numb my pain, or go and gobble up a load of food, sweets, cakes, crisps, in the hope that I would start to feel better. And it would be like, he's made me feel like that. I wouldn't be doing any of this if he didn't behave like that. But actually, my ex-husband's behavior has never actually changed. It's still exactly the same. What has changed is my response and reaction to that behavior then as well. And that's the key difference where I want to help you focus on your power in all of this. Your power is not getting the narcissist to change, because they will not change. They won't. However much I know that's a really hard thing to hear, and for many years I lived in hope that maybe he would have this epiphany. There is no scientific evidence to suggest a narcissist will ever change. There isn't any research to suggest that. So if we know the narcissist isn't ever going to change, whether you're in a relationship or not, maybe you have children with them, maybe it's a parent in your life, does that mean that you have to feel the way that you do forevermore? No, absolutely not. It isn't. And again, if you're struggling with all of this, and feeling alone in all of this about how can I cope then, because if it isn't them, is it me? It isn't your fault. It really isn't. And I want you to know that you're not alone in this. I'd love you. Come and join even my free Facebook community, Narcissistic Abuse and Trauma Recovery for Women. Come and join that so you aren't on your own, because it is really tough to work on the healing of the trauma of narcissistic abuse, because time doesn't heal it. Time might make us feel better, but then we have something happen and boom, we start to feel all of those trauma responses in our body again. You can't think your way out of trauma. This is why with what I do around using the body, so the somatic embodiment piece is so important, because yes, you can think and no, maybe you are good enough, you're a nice person, you're a kind person. And you start each day knowing, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm not going to respond to this anymore. But the moment it happens, your body goes into a response, and then you might get angry, you might isolate, you might go and drink some wine, you might do whatever those things are, because that perception of danger is they are triggering a wound inside of you that has often come from your childhood, okay? It isn't just about the behavior, because trauma is not just the person or an event. Trauma is what you are saying to yourself on a really deep somatic level, nervous system level in your body about the person or the event. So whenever my narcissist would behave in the way that he used to behave, okay, it wasn't him that was making me feel a certain way. It was the fact his behavior was triggering in me a wound of not feeling good enough that had come from my childhood. So for me to start to feel better in my body, it wasn't changing the narcissist. It was working on my root cause of why the narcissist behavior was triggering my wound of not being good enough. It was not getting the narcissist to change their behavior. So if I'm saying to my ex-husband then, when you do this, you make me feel like that. When you say that, you make me feel like this. I'm giving my power away and basically saying, if you change, I'm not going to feel like this. But what happens then is, what if you're around other people then that are triggering that wound? What we go around in our life, in the whole world, trying to get everybody to behave in a certain way so we don't feel something? That's symptom management. I want you to have root cause resolution. So the narcissist is really shining a great big spotlight on a core inner wound that you have, causing those reactions in the body. Now, let me just say, this is not your fault. Absolutely not your fault, okay? Because this will have come from childhood. And when I work with my clients, I normally work on 4 key inner wounds. I am not good enough, I am worthless, I am not important, and I'm unlovable. Yes, there's different elements to all of those, but they're kind of the 4 key ones. And really, all of this comes from interpretation from our childhood, because when we are kids growing up, parental behavior and events, we never think, my dad's really, really unemotional. Oh, bless him. He had a really unemotional childhood. I know him never praising me is really because of his childhood, and it's nothing to do with me. I didn't know that. So my core wound of not feeling good enough was my interpretation of my father never praising me when I was getting straight A's at school and being a really, really good student. My interpretation of that was, I'm not good enough then. I must do more, be more, try harder, get higher grades, be this even better, perfect daughter than I was even more trying to be. That was my perception of that. And even as an adult though, when I look back and I kind of knew I was good enough, that trauma was literally wired into my body. It literally goes in the fascia, which is a really thin band-like tissue in our body. So that every time then someone was triggering, I'm not good enough in me, so they might say something or act in a certain way. It was like they're scratching this scab for me. Boom, I would start to react like this. And it would be like, you make me feel like this. You make me feel like that. Nobody can make you feel anything, okay? It's your perception of their behavior that then elicits that trauma response in your body. And then we have lots of protector parts that start to show up. And when I say protector parts, I work a lot with internal family systems in the work that I do, which is an evidence-based parts therapy. Protector parts are things like emotional eating, perfectionism, people-pleasing. And I know these protector parts for you, you might feel like, well, they can just go and do one. I don't want them to be around here. Thanks very much. It's exhausting. But actually those protector parts have a really, really loving intention for you, actually trying to distract, minimize, move you away from feeling what your core wound is. So that's why when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, for instance, and you really numb out, you might dissociate, okay? It's your system actually thinking it's doing the best job for you to try and keep you safe, to try and keep you feeling not the pain of maybe I'm not good enough or I'm unlovable. So take back your power. Stop saying you make me feel. And try this instead, okay? So instead of saying you make me feel, own it. I feel. Because you do feel like that. Own how you feel. Take back your power. Start to get curious, okay? So that might be you say things like, when you say that, I feel, okay? You're not going to say you make me. No one makes you anything, okay? Own that. Because when you start to own I feel, that's when you start to take your power back and you can really, really start to work and get curious then. If I feel when they, what can I do about that? Let's work on the root cause resolution, not just the symptom management. Let me know how you get on with this. How many of you are still saying you make me feel? I used to say that a lot. I thought it was a good thing to say. Own it. Own your power. The moment you start to say, I feel, what you are saying is, I feel, and then get curious as to why do you feel like that? What's your core inner wound? What's your perception of danger? Because if you're not in actual danger, but you're feeling these trauma responses in your body, then there is something about other people's behavior or events that is literally scratching a scab off your core inner wounds about how you feel about yourself. And I want you to take back your power. So let me know how you get on. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you never miss any of these episodes, because remember, you are not alone in any of this. I want to help you lift any shame that you might feel. I've been exactly where you are right now, and I really want to help you move from post-traumatic stress of narcissistic abuse to post-traumatic growth, because it is possible.